Say you want a decent action camera, but you don't want to blow $400 to $500 on a GoPro. Can you get by with a cheaper brand? Well, we tested to see how the new Monoprice HD Sports 2 stacks up against our top choice for action cameras, the GoPro Hero 4 Silver. The first test we did was to gauge image quality. In these first shots, it was a pretty overcast day with not much direct sunlight. The GoPro is definitely a more accurate image compared to the washed out shadows and oversaturated colors of the Monoprice. But part of me doesn't mind the inaccurate colors. It makes the day look much cheerier than it actually was, and hey, if you're gonna have inaccurate colors, at least have pleasant ones. The other major difference of note is the GoPro's wide mode is much wider than the Monoprice wide mode. Not to mention the GoPro's Super View, which is even wider. Monoprice does offer a ultra wide mode, which is a little closer to the GoPro's wide mode, but nowhere close to Super View. Both cameras also offer narrow mode for those narrow times in life. But these are not static cameras, these are action cameras, so let's see how they do in motion. The same issues with color oversaturation and lack of shadow depth is still apparent in the Monoprice. But with movement added to the equation, we also see more compression artifacts in the Monoprice's image, especially around the edges of objects. But beyond the less accurate colors and more obvious artifacts in the Sports 2, I also noticed a significant increase in the shakiness in its image. The cameras were both attached to the same mount, and the GoPro has no internal image stabilization, so I'm not entirely sure why this is happening. But the shaking is much more exaggerated on the Monoprice than the GoPro. With the increased prevalence of viewing content on the internet, I think our tolerance for image compression and artifacts is pretty high, but a shaky image is annoying no matter what. Next was a low light test. Now, most action cameras are pretty bad in low light, so the Monoprice's performance surprised me a bit. Here's one instance where the Monoprice's blown out look actually helps. The GoPro image is very dark, mostly black, even with the low light mode turned on. When moving around in darker environments, the Monoprice's image does start to fall apart a bit compared to the GoPro. But even with all the crazy trails and compression artifacts, you are seeing a bit more of the scene with the Monoprice. Lastly, we did a sound test. Now, if you're interested in getting quality sound in a video, then action cameras are not the way to go. The protective enclosure makes the mics basically useless for picking up dialogue anywhere farther than arm's length. Both cameras offer a skeleton case, which helps a little by exposing the mic a bit more, and there's always the option of attaching an external mic, which I highly recommend if you're not getting quality sound from another recording source. But here's how they sound. This is at arm's length with both cameras outside of their plastic enclosures. This is at arm's length with both cameras outside of their plastic enclosures. This is at arm's length talking at a moderately loud voice with both cameras in their plastic enclosures. This is at arm's length talking at a moderately loud voice with both cameras in their plastic enclosures. Really, it all comes down to how much you care about quality. You can definitely get by with a Monoprice in many instances, and in low light it did great. As usual though, you get what you pay for, and the GoPro has a far superior image quality than the Monoprice, both in color accuracy and picture quality. Plus the GoPro has a much wider point of view, especially with the Super View mode. I could see choosing the Monoprice in situations where there's a high risk of damaging the camera. Better to gamble with $160 than $400. But in most cases, the GoPro is definitely still the way to go.